Today, the Supreme Court's conservative majority upended the way our federal government functions by overturning the 40-year-old landmark decision Chevron v. NRDC. It requires courts to defer to the expert judgment of federal agencies when the law is ambiguous. Today's 6-3 decision transfers an extraordinary amount of power from the executive branch to the federal judiciary. Mark Joseph Stern at Slate writes that after today, virtually every decision an agency makes will be subject to a free-floating veto by federal judges with zero expertise or accountability to the American people. It is one of the most far-reaching and disruptive rulings in the history of the court. Since 1984, federal courts have applied Chevron in about 18,000 decisions in every conceivable area of the law: energy policy, education, food and drug safety, labor, the environment, consumer protection, finance, healthcare, housing, law enforcement. The list is pretty much endless. It has become the background principle against which Congress enacts all legislation. That all ends now. Joining me now are Sherrilyn Ifill, President and Director Counsel Emeritus of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and Mark Joseph Stern, Senior Writer covering the courts and the law for Slate Magazine. Thank you both for being here tonight. Sherrilyn, let me just first get your reaction to this landmark decision from the High Court.
It is a seismic shift in how the United States government operates, and I worry that many Americans will not understand that this is as important an issue, as important a transformation of how our country will be run as any that we are confronting this year. It is a huge judicial power grab. It bespeaks a court that is arrogant and unwilling to recognize the potential expertise of federal agencies. It takes power from Congress, which, after all, delegated that power to federal agencies. And I think it has created a problem it is not ready for in terms of the kind of backlog that we're going to see in these decisions. It has been a project, though, of the conservatives for some time to deal with the Chevron issue. Conservatives of the kind, you know, the kind of former Republican business lobby has wanted to get at Chevron. So it doesn't surprise me that Chief Justice Roberts wrote the opinion. This would serve the kind of interest that he has had for some time. This is not a MAGA opinion. This is a traditional Republican opinion, at least as they have conceived of Chevron over the last 10 or so years. But it is devastating, I think, and potentially catastrophic.
You know, I defer to you guys here, the experts, but I wonder if there isn't a bit of MAGA sprinkled in there, Mark Joseph Stern, just because the deep state, the administrative state, has been such a whipping post for the upper echelons of Trump Inc., including Steve Bannon, the guy going to jail on Monday. You know, they have loathed agencies, the federal bureaucracy, and they have come to embrace the judiciary since they have hijacked it for conservative ends.
Yeah, I think this is an aspect of the traditional Republican business lobby that the MAGA movement has sort of embraced and turbocharged, because what the majority opinion by Chief Justice Roberts reflects is not just this deep distrust of government employees, like you say, the deep state that Donald Trump wants to purge, but also a fundamental hostility toward how government works today, right? The majority is furious that when Congress steps in to enact new legislation in response to evolving problems, like, for instance, the Great Recession in 2008, it understands that it can't foresee every little problem that could arise on the ground, and it can't prescribe every future solution to all of those issues. So what Congress does instead, and has done for more than a century, is grant these federal agencies broad power to decide how exactly to implement and enforce these laws, and to do so in accordance with their own expertise. The agencies that the court dismisses as staffed by beady-eyed bureaucrats, I mean, they're actually staffed by career civil servants and experts with deep knowledge and experience working on issues like here monetary policy, elsewhere environmental policy, food and drug safety, right? I think that these are the people you would rather trust deciding these major issues, some of which can be literally life or death, rather than judges who happen to have a law degree and a black robe and have now made themselves sort of the kings, the deciders of all major and minor questions of law and policy in the country. So what the majority of the court is telling Congress is you have to start writing narrower legislation. You have to start giving less authority to these agencies. You have to write feebler laws that are less capable of addressing future problems as they arise. And all of that is a recipe for paralyzing government, for paralyzing specifically the regulatory state that, whether we know it or not, we are all relying on to ensure we have clean air, clean water, safe food and drugs. Who really likes that outcome? It's industry, it's polluters, it's corporations, it's billionaires. And so that has always been the class that kind of came together. MAGA and the Republican lobby are absolutely in agreement on this particular issue because it's good for their bottom line when they can evade EPA regulations and dump as much pollution into our rivers as they want.
Yeah, Sherilyn, this seems like a huge win for the Koch brothers, is it not?
Oh, it absolutely is. But let's take it even a step further. I mean, think about the effort that at least some think is important to regulate social media. Think about the Department of Education. Think about all of the various agencies that are involved with law enforcement and weapons and so on and so forth. The court is essentially putting itself in the position of being the last word on how all of those aspects of our lives are managed. The only thing I can think that could be positive about this is that the court has now made a case for expanding the Supreme Court and the federal judiciary, because a court that can't finish its docket until July certainly is not a court that is prepared to take on all of the cases that will wind up through the system as a result of it eliminating the Chevron doctrine. That's the only silver lining that I can see, but I do think this is very, very grave indeed.
You know, Ian Millhiser at Vox just gives a sense of how much more work the Supreme Court has taken on. I mean, these are decisions that they have no expertise in, and they are granular and they run the gamut. Here's an excerpt. How much nitrogen may be discharged by a wastewater treatment plant in Taunton, Massachusetts? Is there effective competition between cable TV providers and streaming video providers in Kauai, Hawaii? Does the process of mixing and bagging sand constitute milling, which is regulated under the Mine Safety and Health Act, or manufacturing, which is regulated under the Occupational Safety and Health Act? I mean, these are decisions that someone like Neil Gorsuch has no aptitude to answer. He confused in his ruling on the SEC, or I believe the EPA, nitrous oxide, which is laughing gas, and nitrogen oxide, which is a smog-causing emission. And he's the guy that's going to be making these calls.
Alex, remember, until a few months ago, Justice Alito couldn't even pronounce mifepristone, the abortion drug. These are not the areas in which they are expert. But this is about power. And I really think it's important to pay attention to the opinion written by Chief Justice Roberts. It's like an opinion he's had in his desk drawer for 10 years. It ignores everything that we have been hearing over the past 2 years about the court. And he talks about the court making decisions with a clean heart and a clear mind, and how judges are those we can rely on to be non-political and impartial. He's basically making the case once again that everything you have been seeing the last couple of years, pay no attention to that. We are still the umpires calling balls and strikes, and that's why we're better at this than anyone else could be. It's a decision completely out of time, but it reflects Chief Justice Roberts' ideas about a kind of imperial SCOTUS, a kind of muscular judiciary that he believes is really best equipped to make the best kind of decisions about how we live our lives. I find it very, very troubling to just read the language of the decision.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn. MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.